Yeah, man. So BJ Finney, he's the next guy. Now, for me with BJ, it's a little bit more mixed bag because um, with BJ, right? When I think of just the pros of BJ, BJ Finney, we're talking about here. Number one, he's cheap in terms of he's not going to cost a ton of money. Number two, he's position flexible. Starts at center, he can start at both guard spots. He's a good player, just not a great player. He's a veteran player. I like that part as well. So the moment's not too big, experience. He's stepped in before, like he's accustomed to this situation as well. Also like the fact that he's homegrown. We gave him his first opportunity. He stayed here for the first couple of years. Obviously left last year to try to get paid in free agency, but he came right back. So for me, I like the homegrown part, but more importantly, he's fundamentally sound. And that part to me, I don't like to overlook it because not every player at this level is fundamentally sound. And that's, one of those things that can keep your floor being good enough. You know what I mean? Fundamentals won't necessarily make you a great player all the time, but it will keep you from being a bad player as one of the alternatives as well. So I do like that about BJ. But for you, man, what are your positives on BJ before we get to some of the negatives about him?
Oh, everything you said can just step into position, get us through a game. Contract's going to be cheap. He's just the guy that you could have on your roster, though. So we want to do that before cons. Because I think that's basically it. I mean, he's just a solid player for us. But the cons are not really that much upside in the play.
Yeah, so for me, when I think of the cons with him, he has a low ceiling. He definitely does. He is who he is. He's not going to grow past this where you want him to be a 17-game starter. I don't think that's going to ever be it for him. I think that if he has to be the starter for 17 games, if guys around him are talented, he'll be fine. But the longer he's out there in those avenues with less talent around him, he would definitely be a guy that would struggle.
Our offensive line.
Yeah. I also think that he's limited athletically in comparison to a guy like Kendrick Green or even to a guy like Dotson, right? When we talk about some of these guys and their ability to pull, get downfield, BJ doesn't necessarily give you that. Like I said, he's limited there. What he does improve or what he does give you is the power element because he has a lot more size than a guy like Kendrick Green. Okay. But the last con that I had, and this has actually been going on for a couple of years now, he has back issues. This past season,
that's what took him out this year.
Yeah, this past season he was on IR and he was limited a lot throughout the season because of his back injury. And I even know when I played my last year there in 17, he was still dealing. Well, that was like the onset of some of the back issues and stuff like that, man. So it definitely looks like it's continuing to linger and flare back up. And you know how I've told you multiple times, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to stay away from Mitchell Schwartz last free agency. I don't like linemen with back issues because with the weight that they carry, the rigors of the position, it's just hard for those guys to play through back injuries. Like you can play through an arm, you can play through an ankle, but knee, back, neck, it's just hard to tough it out. And with BJ is tough as nails. Love BJ. That's my guy. But for me, the back issues are what are making me kind of hesitate a little bit with him and ask myself, because he is a veteran. This will be his, 7th year in the league now. His minimum is going to cost more than me drafting an offensive lineman or me signing an offensive lineman in free agency. I mean, not in free agency, but as an undrafted free agent. He's going to cost more than that. So that's why I'm asking myself, do I think I can find another BJ Finney for cheap without the back issue? If I think that I can, then I probably would go that route, or I'd have to strongly assess where he's at back wise, because this has happened, like I said, on multiple occasions now. And as you see, once it flares up, it's not a 1 week issue. It's a multiple week issue. And it just, think about if he was available late in the year where Kendrick Green was struggling. It's like, man, you could put him out there. But with the back injury, you don't have that sub. You don't have that option. So you have to continue to put Kendrick Green out there. And those are some of the things I think of. Even when we had guards go down, it's like, man, JC Hassanar, it's like, man, we had to play him at guard at times. And it's like, yo, what if we could put him at center? But we couldn't do that when a guy like BJ is on the sideline injured because of his back. Those are some of the things that, like I said, it just makes me a little bit more hesitant about bringing him back right now.
Not only that, you talk about finding other guys.
Yeah.
We kind of did last year in LeGlue, because that's when BJ Finney went down in that Ravens game, and LeGlue came in and was kind of nice. So if you look at our roster right now, well, is he some type of free agent?
Yeah, well, he signed one of those 1-year deals. So I gotta check. I'm gonna
go. That was
go
last year.
Yeah, I'll go and look to see if he would be unrestricted or restricted. I believe he's
either way. You bring
though.
him back.
Yeah, I believe he's a restricted guy though, because I want to say he's been released a couple of times beforehand, so he'll definitely be restricted. He might even be exclusive rights free agent, and that's the thing I think with him. If he's exclusive rights, it doesn't even matter because he can't play anywhere except Pittsburgh. I think that's what he is because of how he wasn't drafted and he's been released. If you're not drafted and you've been cut from any organization, whenever a team signs you and that contract plays out, that initial deal plays out, you automatically go into exclusive rights free agency where you're not a free agent unless the team decides that they don't want you. But if the team typically decides they don't want you, probably weren't even good enough to warrant money from another organization. So with John, he should, bringing him back won't be an issue at all.
You have him on the roster, left guard. Dotson, left guard, right guard. Center, Hassenauer, Kendrick Green. So where does Finney really fit? Because if you have Dotson, LeGlue, I don't know if LeGlue's necessarily a backup. We still have to adjust the right guard. Do we bring back Turner or something? But, we're not re-signing Finney to be the starting right guard.
Not at all.
And if we're talking about depth, why not just bring in a rookie then?
Yeah, that's
what I'm starting to think.
Yeah, for me, if he didn't have the back issue, I say you keep BJ. I think you roll with him because of the depth, the experience, the fundamental, right? And the fundamentals and stuff like that. But because the back injury has proven that it's not a one-off, it wasn't a 1-year thing, it wasn't a 3-week thing. This has proven that, man, it's been cost him multiple seasons now. For me, I do feel like, man, I would probably go the alternative of trying to find an undrafted free agent, man. Somebody like that, yeah. But the thing, man, BJ was highly decorated coming out of college too, though. It's just like I said, the injuries part, man. The back, your best ability is your availability, and for him not being available is hurting him in this avenue right here.
The problem was too when he was available was that Bengals game where we got shellacked 41-10. He started that game.
It's not a good look, bro.
I don't want to put that all on Finney. I don't want to say that was the Finney game.
Yeah, it definitely was.
There was that.
It definitely was. But you need players like him.
And when he
went
out in the Ravens game, though, we could say our line improved with LeGlue being in there. That doesn't help his case.
Yeah. So like I say, he definitely.
Yeah. So this isn't one I'm like all that much for. Even though these are we're talking about lower level guys in Killebrew, and even if we bring up LeGlue, I'm way more for bringing back LeGlue, or even someone like Haig.
Yeah, I can definitely see that then, man.
Because a lot of what you talked about, the availability, and when they were in, it was like, okay,
yeah, well, you could see it.
You get the spot start with them.
Absolutely, you can see that as long as you can see some type of uptick and you say, okay, compare and contrast contracts, who's going to be cheaper? BJ at this stage is going to cost more. He's even had a nice contract last year in free agency. I think he got, was it 1 or 2 mil? Or no, it was a 1 or 2 year deal for I think it was $5 million, something along those lines.
You talking about going to Seattle?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like he's already been introduced to a higher pay scale than any of these guys we're talking about in terms of LeGlue and in terms of Haig and stuff like that. So yeah, if we're playing the numbers game as well, it also makes sense to look in other directions because it's like, why pay more for a guy that is going to be dealing with the back injury as well?